For more of this, I'm joined by Mehmet Celik, the editorial coordinator at the Daily Sabah newspaper, who's joining me here in the studio. Thanks for coming in. Now, first of all, how successful have these operations been, both over the last couple of days and more broadly over the last few years for Türkiye?
Since 2016, Turkey has been carrying out very specific operations against the PKK and YPG, both in northern Syria and northern Iraq. And I'm saying since 2016 because there have been very precise operations, be it from Euphrates Shield to Operation Spring Shield to the very recent ones with the Claw Lock operations in northern Iraq. And I think one of the key moments with the successes of these operations is the fact that they are very precisely targeted, and they target the operational centers of the PKK terrorist organizations or the key leadership figures through intelligence. And I think another success moments is due to the drones that Turkey has been producing, the local products in the defense industry. There has been a huge contribution in the success of these operations. And we can also see that the terrorist groups maneuvering area or its ability to carry out significant attacks against Turkey or its operational movements both in northern Syria and also northern Iraq have also minimized when it comes to their capacity. So I think that success is there, but until the last terrorist is eliminated, these operations will continue.
And can you talk to me a little bit more about the wider geopolitical context of all of this, and in particular about the roles of Russia in Iran?
Look, there's two failed states in the south border of Turkey. Both Syria, although relatively there is an actual system in Iraq right now, but it hasn't recovered from the US invasion, and the stability hasn't been successful, as we see that there is a huge terrorist organization very present in the northern part of the country. So with these two failed states in south border of Turkey, there is instability. Now, instability in the region, who does that instability serve to? Whose hand does this play? Whether it is Iran and Iran's influential aims in the region, whether it's Russia with its positioning in Syria against the United States, or whether it's the US actually backing the PKK terrorist organizations, YPG in Syria. How there is a very complex relationship there. On the one hand, you see that there's the attempts to establish some sort of peace in Syria, but on the other hand, you see that Iran is supporting some militia there, and Russia is turning a blind eye to PKK's terrorist organization. The US is supporting directly the YPG. So there's a very complex relationship through this proxy called PKK. Of course, Turkey from the UN Charter, Article 51, it has the right to self-defense against an entity, both in northern Syria and northern Iraq, to protect itself and its citizens, and also its interests at a wider region. Now, when this is the case, of course, there is the complex relationship at a wider regional level at several different realms. The US on the one hand, Iran and its Iran's and its aims and interests at a wider region, and Russia and playing against the United States through PKK or through other groups or through Assad regime. This turns into a very chaotic, unstable relationship in the region. And Turkey, I think one of the key moments, of course, it is trying to protect its interests, its citizens, but one of the aims of these operations and its aim to eliminate PKK is to establish some sort of stability in the region. One of the main causes of instability in the region is the fact that there is many proxies, many terrorist groups present in both Syria and Iraq.
And Mehmet, I wonder why you think this flare-up in violence and hostilities has happened specifically now.
Now, I think this also we should look at it from a regional perspective and also from that relationship at the ground or Turkey's confrontation with the PKK terrorist organization. At the wider level, I think it has a lot to do with who does these operations against PKK, who's bothered by these operations? Who's bothered by the successful operations and successful elimination of PKK members in both northern Iraq, or who's bothered by limiting PKK in northern Syria? When we look at Turkey's very strong activism in the region, be it its very strong, firm stance against Israeli atrocities in Gaza, whether we look at Turkey's very active engagement in South Caucasus, and when we look at even Turkey's role between Ukraine and Russia, how it has been able to carry out some sort of diplomacy between the two states, I think that increased influence and role of Turkey is actually not appreciated, but rather there is an attempt to limit that. So whenever Turkey's actual influence increases in the region, there is those that are not happy with this, and through PKK or through some other element, they try to say, hey, look, you are moving a little more than we are happy with, so we will keep you busy with these PKK operations.
All right, Mehmet Celik, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.